All right, guys, we'll let people kind of stream on in here, and give us just a second here to get things where we want them to be. All right. Okay, all right. Well, we'll give everybody just a few more seconds to get in here. I see that people are still joining us here. And if you're watching, this is the current radar across the United States here as of 6:34, or actually, I guess 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, all right, so let's get started. This is our winter storm that is getting its act together still out to the west. It's brought a lot of snowfall down to the west and to the southwest, into Oklahoma, down into Texas. And if we take a look right now, this is pretty impressive. Those areas in pink are winter storm warnings. The areas more in this blue up here into Illinois and up into portions of Michigan are winter weather advisories. We've even got ice storm warnings down into portions of Kentucky, down into West Virginia here, where they're going to see some very heavy ice. Obviously, for us, we're going to be talking about snowfall. So this is just an incredible system. I mean, the vast expanse of winter storm warnings across every county, other than the places that have blizzard warnings. Other than that, every county in Texas is under a winter storm warning. It's just pretty impressive. This is overall an impressive, large, vast system that is moving on through here. So obviously, for us, we're focusing here on the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes with this discussion because we could be here for a long time discussing everywhere else. So going on over, and we'll get things started here as we work into in times. We're going to keep times in Eastern time, so if you're watching this into Central time, just be aware of that. So as we work into the next couple of hours here, we're going to use the 18Z model, or 18Z run of the HRRR. So as we work into 6, 7, 8 o'clock here, this is by the time we continue into 9, 10 o'clock into midnight. You can see by 11 o'clock and midnight, we've got a lot of the snowfall that is spreading down into southern Illinois initially. So we're going to kind of have a couple rounds here. We're going to have this initial kind of push of snowfall tonight on into tomorrow, and then that'll push on out, and then the synoptic low will move through, and when this low moves through, that's when the heaviest snowfall is going to start to impact us here across especially the Ohio Valley and then back up into portions of the Great Lakes. And so as we continue into the overnight hours tonight going into tomorrow morning, this is by the time we work into 3 a.m., you can see the snowfall out across Indiana, back out into Illinois, a little bit of snowfall up into northern Illinois as well. Snowfall out across Ohio, maybe a little bit of a mix out here. Notice one thing here, this little area right up here, that is lake effect snowfall. Chicago is going to see, Chicago and then northwestern Indiana are going to see some heavy snowfall out of the lake effect banding as well as this continues, especially tonight into tomorrow. We head into 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, so for folks that are going to have to get up and go to work, things like that, it's still snowing extremely hard out here into portions of Ohio, especially kind of the eastern half and southeastern portions of Ohio. A lot of the snowfall out across Illinois and Indiana is kind of tapering off closer to 7 a.m. it looks like. Still some light snowfall into Michigan at this point. And we're probably not going to see a whole lot of snowfall on through tomorrow morning. I think, there we go. So this is the National Weather Service forecast on through tomorrow morning. And you can see, I mean, overall through 7 a.m., pretty widespread area of 1 to 2 inches from Michigan down into Indiana, into Illinois, back down to the southwest towards St. Louis and those areas. So we're not going to see a whole lot of snowfall overnight. The bulk of this snowfall is going to come as we work into tomorrow, more into especially tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, as this area of low pressure pushes on through, and that really allows us to get the heavier snowfall. So as we work into tomorrow, heading in through the morning and continuing on into like 10, 11 o'clock, here comes the heavy snowfall. Notice the darker blues down here into western portions of Tennessee, western portions of Kentucky, southern Illinois, down into the Boot Hill of Missouri. By 11 o'clock to lunchtime, there's the lake effect snowfall coming out here across Lake Michigan. And this, as we work into the afternoon, we start to see this pushing off to the northeast here. So by the time we work into 1, 2, 3 o'clock here and on into This is by the time we start to work into 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see heavy snowfall. I mean, really pretty heavy snowfall for a large area, but especially down here south of I-70. I mean, it's snowing hard near and south of I-70 out here into Indiana and Illinois. We're probably going to see rates tomorrow of an inch and a half an hour. Definitely not out of the question under some of this heaviest snowfall tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. So, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, as this pushes on in here, conditions are going to deteriorate very quickly as this comes in. I mean, it's not going to take very long at all to start really seeing snowfall impacting roadways. And so as we continue on into 5 and 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, you can see that we've got heavy snowfall across Indiana, even out into eastern Illinois. We've got it across a large portion of Ohio. Notice the freezing rain down here into southeastern Ohio, into West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, where ice is going to be a significant problem for some locations down there. Obviously, it's still snowing heavily here. You can see the lake effect still impacting places up into closer to Chicago. So, they'll have some lake effect, lake enhanced snowfall into that location tomorrow evening. And then we continue on into 7, 8, 9 o'clock here. And you can see the snowfall tomorrow evening after 6 to 7 p.m. is starting to lift on out of St. Louis and back down across southwestern and western portions of Illinois. But we're still seeing a lot of snowfall across the rest of the forecast area on into tomorrow evening. And then this continues on through. This is midnight tomorrow night going into Tuesday. You can see snowfall tapering off across a lot of Indiana and Illinois. And we also will see this snowfall starting to end overnight tomorrow night into Tuesday morning across the rest of the area as well. And then into Tuesday morning, we'll be watching the possibility for some lake effect fans up into portions of southeastern Wisconsin, northeastern Illinois. Looks like we have a question. I work tomorrow from 3:30 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. Tuesday. How bad do you think the roads will be? I'm in Cleveland. So 3:30 to 3:30 basically, I guess it is. I mean, you're going to start to see, so this is, I'll rewind this is 3 o'clock in Cleveland tomorrow. So overall at this point, it's probably not going to be that bad. And so, as we work on in past that, though, I mean, your commute there is not going to be an issue, it doesn't look like. On the flip side, your commute home is going to be terrible because, I mean, by 3 o'clock, the snowfall's ending in Cleveland. Now, with that being said, I mean, obviously, northeastern portions of Ohio, you're in the snow belt. And so you're more equipped to handle this compared to, even Columbus, Cincinnati, Indianapolis is going to be. But nonetheless, I still think you're looking at, with the kind of rates you're going to have there, I mean, it's going to be a rough commute home, I would expect. I think that's, it'll definitely be treacherous because of the rates and because of how quickly this is going to fall. So going on over and taking a look here, Cincinnati on Tuesday. It looks like in the Cincinnati area Tuesday, you're probably starting to wrap things up somewhere closer to, obviously it's still a little bit further out or far out, so the timing will be adjusted, I'm sure, a bit, but you're probably looking at somewhere closer to 11 p.m. tomorrow night through maybe 1 or 2 o'clock Tuesday morning, sometime right in that kind of 3-hour time frame. Again, that'll be adjusted in pretty much all areas. But given what I'm seeing now, that's kind of what I'm looking at there. I haven't even looked at thunder snow. I honestly, Cody, I probably won't get into too much of the next system. It has the potential to be a more significant system as well, but it's still far enough out. I probably won't go, into anything beyond this just because, I mean, we could be here for a while. But, but no, thunder snow, I haven't really looked too much into that. I mean, anytime you get these big synoptic lows coming through with a lot of lift, the potential would be there. But I think, as far as I'm seeing, as far as what I would think with this, probably not all that great. So let's go on over and take a look. So we'll extend this on through the end of the period here. So this is on through the rest of the forecast time frame. So on through Tuesday. So you can see, I mean, this is really impressive. I mean, to see this, and it's not coming from a forecast model, it's actually coming from the National Weather Service, is very impressive. You're talking about on a widespread scale, 7 to 10 inches, and areas potentially of more. And how vast this is really just incredible. So, going out, places out towards Cleveland, you guys are probably looking at, 9 to 12 inches of snowfall. Cincinnati, you guys are probably looking at closer to, I would tend to say, 7 to 10 inches of snowfall, kind of that same range as you work into Indiana and back out across Illinois. So just some very heavy snowfall. The big thing will be too out here into Cook County, closer to Chicago. You're really looking, you're looking at potentially a foot or even maybe more. Lake effect is tough. Lake effect is very hard to predict, especially when you're this far out. So, it'll be interesting, I think, if you're out into Chicago, Milwaukee, Kenosha, Racine, that's going to be an interesting focal point for lake effect, because I think, models are probably not going to handle that to the best of their extent. They usually don't. And so we'll see how that ends up playing out. How much are you thinking for Champaign, Illinois? Right now for Champaign, you're probably looking at somewhere between roughly, probably probably 5 to 8, 5 to 6 to 10 inches, somewhere right in there. I mean, quite a bit for Champaign, Illinois, by the time this system is all said and done, as it moves on through. So taking a look at a couple things, I know on Twitter we've got a couple questions about blizzard conditions. And I'll touch on that in a second. I'm going to show you this. This is the updated Weather Prediction Center Winter Storm Severity Index. And so if you're not familiar with the Winter Storm Severity Index, basically what this is doing is it's taking in a lot of different factors, whether it's heavy snow, whether it's snow loading, whether it's blowing snow, flash freezing, ice accumulation, etc. It's also taking into consideration population density. And so it's kind of taking in some social aspects of things. And you can see, I mean, we're pretty much a large chunk, most of the Ohio Valley is in moderate to major impact zone with the winter storm severity index, and including Chicago, including Detroit. Now, Detroit's primarily in this because of their population, and part of that is weighing in the Chicago area as well. But Chicago is also in this because of the lake effect. And so, but you can see, I mean, places St. Louis, back out to Effingham, Indianapolis, Bloomington, Rushville, Muncie, out into Fort Wayne, to Cleveland, the Cincy, the Dayton, large area with major impacts expected from this as this system moves on through here. Now, as far as impacts are concerned, the WPC actually I don't want to say picks these out, but creates graphics to show where those impacts are coming from. And so this is the graphic, a couple graphics I wanted to show you. The first one, this is the snow amount component, or the heavy snow component of this. And you can see, I mean, this is closely resembling this map here. And so most of your impacts are going to come from the heavy snowfall. And that's where we're getting the moderate. And you can see, I mean, there's a couple spots out here that are showing even some extreme impacts from the heavy snowfall. We can also pick this out into blowing snowfall. And you can see more minor to moderate impacts from the blowing snowfall. And so I'll circle back around to the question of blizzard conditions with this. If we take a look at the wind forecast tonight, obviously tonight we're not going to have all that much snowfall. But as we work into tomorrow afternoon, I mean, you can see pretty strong winds out of the north to northeast, pretty widespread at about 10 to 15, 10 to 18 miles per hour. And then gusting out there, there might be some places that do see some 30, 35 mile per hour gusts at times, especially out here into northeastern Indiana, northwestern Ohio. But keep in mind, those have to be more of a, I don't want to say sustained, but they have to be more common to see those 35 plus mile per hour gusts, and you have to have visibility lower than a quarter of a mile. And so if we go on over, this is a model that I like to really use. I think it's kind of an overlooked model, and it has a lot of good data with it. And this is the HREF model, and this can be found at the Storm Prediction Center's website. And one of the things that this has is the option to show the probability, basically, of blizzard conditions. So you can see a quarter mile or less visibility and wind speeds of 35 mile per hour in snow. And this is an ensemble probability. And so if we scroll through this as we get into tomorrow morning, by 6 and 7 o'clock, you can see, and this is going to, it'll start highlighting. You can see the color bar down here where your probabilities would be. And as we work on through the daytime hours tomorrow into noon, heading into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, notice there's not really much showing up. Now, as we get towards midnight tomorrow night over Lake Erie, there's a little bit, a 10 to 20% chance showing up. But notice how that never really shows up over land. And so your probability of having, blizzard conditions looks pretty low at this point. Obviously, it's still a developing system, and there's still the possibility winds could increase. We take a look, we can actually bump this up a little bit and go to visibility of less than half a mile with wind speeds of 30 miles per hour in the snow. And if we go through the daytime hours tomorrow, overall, you can really see this isn't really showing up anywhere. And so very low probabilities until we get into tomorrow evening. Now out into, eastern Indiana, into Ohio, and that's kind of where we were talking about the potential for some stronger wind speeds. You can see there is a slight 10 to 20% probability increasing to 20 to 40% over Lake Erie. And then into tomorrow evening, into early on Tuesday morning, it kind of fizzles out. So, as far as blizzard conditions are concerned, I would tend to lean towards no pretty strongly. That doesn't mean it can't happen. It doesn't mean the storm can't strengthen rapidly and we end up with a nice tight, gradient with surface pressure, with the pressure creating more wind. It's definitely possible out there, but as of right now, that's not a big issue that I'm really expecting with this. Not to say there won't be blowing snow, because obviously this snow is going to be a lighter, fluffier snow. This is not going to be a 10 to 1 ratio or 8 to 1 ratio where you're going to see a heavy wet snow. It's going to be 15, 20 to 1 ratios in some instances, and so that's going to blow around. It's not going to take a lot of wind to blow that around. And so is it going to be real extreme? No, but is it going to be enough to blow snow back across roads, cause slick spots, briefly reduce visibility? Yeah, I think so. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. I mean, this is going to be a really intense storm. I mean, the fact that we're going through here and, the biggest round is going to be tomorrow. And for Indy, you're going to see this starting at noon to 1, and then it might be ending by midnight. The fact that we're going to have a 12-hour period and we're going to see potentially up to, 9 or 10 inches in that period, that is impressive snowfall rates. I mean, and the thing is, I was looking at some of the SKUTs, some of the atmospheric profile, and the DGZ, the dendritic growth zone with this, which is where snowfall grows, where those snowflakes grow and get bigger and bigger, is extremely deep. So it'll be interesting to see how big these snowflakes are going to get tomorrow afternoon, because it's saturated, it's a deep DGZ, and so it'll be interesting if we start to get some really nice big flakes from aggregation tomorrow. So that's kind of what we're looking at. This is going to be a good storm. Yeah, it is going to be a good storm for us, Kevin. It's going to be pretty crazy. Beyond this, we do have that next storm coming in late Wednesday, Thursday timeframe into the week. There is that possibility that could be another, impressive snowstorm. Is it going to be this one? Is it going to be like this one? Maybe, maybe not. Chances are unlikely, because this is such an impressive storm. But you never know. This winter's kind of throwing all kinds of stuff at us. So that's kind of where we're at right now. If anybody has any questions, I can try and answer them. If not, I think we've got Pickaway County. No, man, I don't know. I see somebody that I didn't answer a question. In Pickaway County, I see. If you're still watching, I don't know where Pickaway County, Ohio is. I can Google it real quick. Indianapolis, Indy is probably going to see closer to 8 to 10, 8 to 11 inches out of this, the way it looks like right now. Pickaway County, Ohio. Give me just a second and I'll Google it, because I don't know exactly where that is. Oh, so that's Columbus. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, Pickaway County, Ohio. You guys are probably going to get, I would even dare to say you guys are probably going to get closer to like 6 to 9 inches out of this. Obviously, there's been some trends with data and we've shared that on social media and whatnot. There's been some There's been some trends with data that continue to show a westward trend this morning into the afternoon. It's going to be interesting to see how 0Z data looks here in a couple, 2-3 hours as it comes on in, to see if there's a continued westward trend. Obviously, if that continues west, Columbus, Wilmington, Zanesville, out into Ohio, those will be areas that could start to see some impacts with getting on the southern fringe of this, where snowfall would start to decline. But that's the possibility. Northern Cook County, Illinois. Right now, you guys probably going to get, pretty close. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a foot. You guys are going to be pretty close to probably that, 9 to 12, 9 to 13 inch range. But, the big impact for you guys there in Chicago, up to Evanston, those areas, even perhaps up towards Waukegan, you guys are going to be needing to watch the lake effect. And obviously, the lake effect's very tricky. So, you guys will need to be watching that. So, anyways, I think that's kind of all I have time for here this evening, or we have time for this evening. So we'll continue to post some good stuff on social media. So make sure to follow us there, and we'll try to continue to keep updating everybody as we can here, and hopefully do a live stream. Maybe if we don't do one for this storm, perhaps we'll do another one for the next storm. So that's all I have for you this evening.